Hello everyone, and welcome to the Allplan tutorial how to use the layout editor. Once we created some kind of a drawing in Allplan, the next step is to export that drawing either to PDF, other formats, or print it out. So I have an open few different drawings. I have open walls, slabs, and slab reinforcement, and legend, and also axis. What I want to do is create a layout which will contain a drawing, mesh reinforcement schedule, and cutting diagram. So let's start with the layout editor. First we see only a blank page which is not even preset. So if we click 2 times on the left mouse button, we open a project specific basis window which is quite similar to the one that we place drawings and drawing files in. Similar to that one, I can insert structural level, and immediately I can see I have an option of 9,999 different layouts. After that, I can assign any kind of a layout to these new drawings. And let's start with the layout number 1. Let's call it reinforcement of the slab. So first thing what you want to do in layout is place a page. The setup page button, you can choose between presets or you can define your own. For this presentation I will use the A3 standard paper. We have a different orientation and we can choose to have it without the margins or with extra margin for the plotting. I'll choose without because I'm going to be creating the PDF at the end. Now we can place a layout border, and also in here I have a few different presets how it should look like. Next thing would be a title block. Allplan already has a preset of number of different title blocks to choose and to place. For this example, I'll choose one of the preset title blocks, although it is easy and possible to set your own title block in Allplan, but that's going to be a subject of another video. I can set the offset of the title block, and there is also some possibilities to put the background. For my engineering drawing I want to have just a normal white background. In the layout editor window we have few important command buttons. So once we set up the page, we start placing layout elements. We can choose between a classical building structure, where we choose the elements which we want to place, or we can use the drawing files, whichever it's easier. So those drawing files are the files that contains some kind of information. For the start, I will just place the axis, just to show you how to add more elements. Of course, in this window I could easily choose some other elements and just add them at the same time. Now I can choose the scale, rotation angle, font factor, text direction, and even layer preset if I would set it up in before. We place the layout element and press escape. Now with this element I can easily move it around and place it wherever fits best in this window. If I double click, I can also change the scale, angle, font factor, and other stuff that I was showing you before. Now, to place this drawing as a layout, we go to this layout window command and we choose the third option, layout window of layout elements already placed. We select the layout, and in here I can just use the area detection. So now Allplan automatically recognize this part of a page as the main page and set it up as a layout. To add other drawing files to this layout, we have one or two different options. First one would be modify layout window and just add layout elements. I select the layout window and now I can place some other elements. I don't even need to find it because they're going to be placed exactly the same location as the previous one. I'll repeat this step. This time I will choose the building structure, which allows me to select more drawing files at the same time. And as you could see, place them exactly on top of the previous drawing files. Now when I double click within the layout, I can see all the different drawings or the documents that I've placed. It is easy to change the scale of all the drawings, angle, font factor, and I can even change different things. For example, for the walls and garage walls, I can use the fill, which is going to be light gray. Still we see that the fill covers the mesh, which was in this case more important, and having a priority settings in layout, it's fairly easy. So whichever file is on top, it's going to be placed on top of all the rest of the files. So with these few buttons I can just move it down the scale or up. And because I want the reinforcement to stand out, I'll put it all the way on the top. Now I can easily see and read all the important information from this window. For the slab reinforcement, I can also use and change font factor to have the letters and numbers even bigger. Now the next step, I want to place the legend and the cutting diagram on this side of the window. For that, I can again just start with the layout element, or the different ways just to place drawing files as layout element. Or I can even create a window without layout element. So let's try the first one, and we'll place slab reinforcement drawing file. I'll place it outside just to see how everything looks. So I can see that I have on the same drawing file the reinforcement and the cutting diagram. It is very easy just simply to move this drawing file into the place. Now I need to place a layout window of layout elements already placed. So all I need is to select this drawing file, and instead of area detection, this time I want to create the window myself. So I'll switch off the automatic mode and create my own window. The next and the last thing that I want to place is the legend. Again, this time I will create a layout element without any drawings. And again, I'll just create a window, which is now an empty window, waiting to place the elements. It is fairly easy with the basic commands to change these windows however I want. For example, to have everything in a line with the title, I'll use the stretch command and line it up. In the window, in the layout window with the mesh cutting diagram, I see that this end cutting mesh diagram is fairly close to the edge. What we can do is basically modify layout window, and this time we move layout window elements. So I'll select the window and I will just move them a little closer to the left. So even once you have everything placed, it is still possible to move it around. one other option would be just to explode layout window and create a new one. We can also enter new polygon for this layout window. And this time, for example, I'll cut out this bottom right corner and maybe place some other information there. So in this empty window, I want to add a new drawing file. And as I see, if I click on it, it is empty. It doesn't show any drawings. So all I need to do, I can add layout elements to this layout window. This time I'll choose just the legend and I'll place it into this window. As I see, the legend is way too big for this window, but to change the scale it is fairly easy to do. With the double click, we're changing the scale of this window and we see it can fit in. Probably we could even put a scale 1 to 150 and move the layout elements a bit lower. And then slightly modify the top line to present the whole legend. So this is pretty much the basic commands how to operate within the layout editor. Another important thing is the layout and project attributes. You can find them in this button here at the layout, but you can also find them under the project pilot, or when you open the new project open project window, under the properties, assign attributes. For this occasion I will only change the name of the client and we can see now that we have a client and the object, which is Allplan test drive. That's the name of my project. We can of course have a different text in there, so the content is basically reinforcement of the slab. So that's the name of my layout. It's also the number of the layout is number 1, and we have a today's date. Down below we also have a height and width of the paper and the latest version of Allplan. Once we have a layout set up, we can print it out, send it to the plotter, or print it in a print. With the usual setups. Or we can export it to the PDF data. this point I just want to highlight that the lines that represent the layout window in this my settings are not printed, so that would be kind of the end result of this drawing. In addition, just need to show you that we can also create a pretty much similar layout without all this work. I simply copy it to the next file. Copy the layout. It's slightly unusual, but very handy. So what you need to do, you need to activate an empty layout, then use the layout that we already created and put it into another empty layout. We can change the name and activate it. This time you can see in the title bar we have layout number 2, and also I changed the name reinforcement of the slab to. This is how you set up the layout in Allplan. Thank you.